The mission is, can I see the top ceiling poster? No, it's okay. The mission of the Human Relations Committee is to create an atmosphere of inclusion, equality, and accessibility through education and outreach, and to recognize a diverse community. The next item is public comment. Any public comment? Are we using Teams, Jason?
No.
We are not using Teams.
Okay.
Sorry.
It's just so Whitney can hear the meeting or she does minutes.
Okay. Okay. Okay, I don't see any public comment. Can I get approval for the minutes of the last meeting? So moved to approve. Motion by Darcy. Second by Tia. All those in favor say aye. Okay. Then we'll go into the goals of building a community recognition.
So give me just a second here and I will pull up the agenda. Sharing mine. That's okay. That's fine. Probably should have had it up anyway. So committee recognition. First thing on their public service announcement. So that one's on me. Last time we met, we agreed that Whitney was gonna send around a doodle poll. There was a date and time that worked for some of you. She shared that information with me and that's where it stopped. I should have kicked it over to Mary and said, hey, does this work? Date, time and all that. And I failed. So I apologize and got lost in a slurry of
I'm
emails.
so sorry, I went down there. too.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So for those of you that don't know, this is Mary Van Sickle, by the way. Mary's the executive director of Dakota Media Access. Mary's got some ideas about the October stuff. I was talking to her the other day about films and some of those things that this group has been talking about, and Mary had some suggestions, and I said, you know what, you should probably come to the meeting and share your ideas. So when we get to that part, Mary's a friendly, she's here to help, so.
You may have a different opinion when I leave, I don't know.
So maybe if we can just kind of put a pin in the public service announcements for now, and we can all agree that I screwed up and we'll try harder, I'll try harder next time, and then maybe jump to, if it's all right with you, Mr. Chairman, to jump to the next item on the agenda, hosted events.
Yeah.
Looking at the October goals of hosting an event, talking about films, what are the plans and ideas for that? Mary had some suggestions for me that Dakota Media Access may be a resource for this group to consider. Whether it be through hosting, promoting, so we're distributing the event, all sorts of things in that thread of trying to build participation and engagement. And so where this group left off, Mary, they were considering hosting a film or films in conjunction with the 20th anniversary, which is in October of this year. I shared with the group your suggestions for films. There were also films available through the library. A little bit of research, I learned that once upon a time, the HRC did partner with the library for some sort of a film screening event. And so rather than call it a film festival or, get maybe the wrong impression of what things are, Mary had some ideas of how that could work based on some of the films that have been screened at previous film festivals here.
How much would that cost?
Well, we can talk about all of that because part of the limitations for this group is going to be the budget. And so Dakota Media Access is a partner of the cities, along with partner with the city of Mandan. And so DMA broadcasts, hosts all of the public meetings that are in the Tom Baker room.
There's one going on right now.
County Commission is down there currently. Mary and I do a program every other week following City Commission, called City Current. Does the same thing with the city of Mandan, so they've got a similar version of kind of highlights and a synopsis of the City Commission meeting every week or every other week. And so just knowing that they've got a radio lab, they've got video production, they've got access to films and a whole team of people that can make really cool things happen, I thought it'd be good for this group to consider. Maybe there's some lower hanging fruit the first time around to try and do this. Maybe there's a way to blend the student artwork. I don't know, but if you've got questions, she's probably got answers. So
No pressure.
if maybe, Mary, if you just want to share some of your thoughts for this group to consider. And then if there's something there that makes sense, we can certainly drill into that and go further. Otherwise, we can, I'm not trying to derail any of the work that's been done, but we're 2 months from October. So if we're gonna finalize some of this stuff and start promoting it, it needs to happen pretty quickly, like
Yeah.
today. Yes, so,
Well, thanks, Jason.
yeah,
I'll just, if. Kind of started with Jason asking me a couple of months ago about films. Are there any films that might fit in with your mission? And I kind of ignored it for a while, as we all do, procrastinate a little bit. And then I sent him a list of films just last week, I think, that we have had at previous film festivals that could fit in well with the message that you're going for. When Jason talks about building awareness and distribution of information, that's an easy thing for us to do. We have a radio station, we can do public service announcements on that, as you know, as you attempted to do, Trevor. We also have a message board that our streaming platforms and television channels default to, because we don't allow any commercial advertising on our platforms. So we have a message board that rotates between programming. So when a program is done, the message board pops up. And that message board is only available to government agencies, the schools, churches, and nonprofit organizations. And obviously this group would certainly land in there. So when you have an event, or just to build awareness on who you are, we can even put a slide in that rotates in. That would be an easy thing to do if you have a logo, say human relations, committee meets, some, the first Monday, yeah. Public is welcome, that kind of thing, just an institutional message, or if there's an event. So that's the low hanging fruit that we talk about, or those are easy things for us to do. You're talking about coordinating an event that falls on your anniversary, and that, is there a particular date you guys were looking at, or is it just October? You're just open on it?
yeah, currently we've got the library meeting room A reserved with the idea that there would be a screening of
Yeah.
film. And I think the date on that, let me just look at the calendar here.
I don't see that the 22nd and the 28th.
Yeah, it was over
Like a free.
22nd, I believe.
Okay.
And it's a Saturday.
I should say too, that the films that I sent to Jason would all have to be, you'd have to get permission from the filmmaker. Now, most of those they've been through the films festival circuit, so I would anticipate most of them would be, yes, no problem. As long as you're not charging admissions. If you're making money on their film, then they would probably say no. But if it's open to the public, they're more receptive to that. I will say too, that October 21st, at our facility, we're having the horror film dash. So we have local team competitions doing the horror short films. So on the 21st, which is a Friday. And just today I learned that out at Buckstop Junction on the 28th, there's going to be a big event going on out there that they're going to take some of our old horror dash films and show out there. So there's a few things going on in that time frame. But I will say too, that conducting a film, if you call it, especially if you call it a film festival, it's a bit of a challenge. I mean, we've been going 10 years when we can't fill the bell. I mean, we can't even fill it halfway. So it's always a challenge getting people to attend an event. I guess I would ask too, is what is it you want people to know? What is it you want to achieve with your event? You know, what is it are you building awareness? Do you want them to come together? And if you want them to come together and attend an event, you gotta have food. That's how you get people to the table. There's gotta be some food and refreshments. And, you know, it takes a lot to get a crowd of people to attend events, especially in this town. People wait till the last minute. And
Well, and another thing, I don't think Jason, we can get food with our money in that.
Oh, probably not.
yeah, I mean, what is it, what's the hook? Showing films that have already been seen in the community might not be quite enough. Are there other?
And Mary too, it's good to know about the Buckstop Junction thing, because
Yeah.
I wasn't aware of that, and, you know, we don't wanna be interfering with theirs,
Yeah.
is kind of a tough.
I would really invite you to think about using us in a different way. I mean, we have the capacity to distribute programming. Why not this group start creating their own podcast? You don't have to be on camera, even though we can do that too. We have a couple programs that are going on right now. Since we moved a year ago, we have this really nice studio. And
Beautiful.
it is, and it's really getting a lot of attention. One program we have going on with Cheryl Carey from the Sacred Bike Peace Center. She does a program pretty regularly now, and you can find it on, because it's all recorded and archived, so you can listen to it anytime. But they have some regular time slots over the air as well. But they have a program called Red Gaze, and she brings together other Native Americans to sit around the table and critique movies that have a Native American element to it, whatever it might be, actors from produced by, whatever it is. And it's really interesting and really popular. It's won a couple awards that we've submitted already. Really, really interesting, and it's not heavy-handed. I mean, they're not, you know, spending their time criticizing, you know, different cultures or whatever. It's very lighthearted. In fact, we have to tell them to stop laughing so much because it's hard to understand what they're talking about. But that's just one of the programs, and I think it's a really worthwhile program. We have another one that's produced by Shannon Huber, who's a addiction counselor over at Hartview, and she interviews recovering addicts. And she has other addiction counselors, she has law enforcement individuals that come in, she's religious. I mean, every Wednesday Shannon is doing her program. And it's really another successful program, really interesting to listen to these people's stories. Or people in the community that are dealing with addicted people. So there are ways to build awareness for what you're doing, and I think this would be a really good group to start thinking of that. Now, I know it's kind of intimidating, it's like, oh my gosh, doing this program every week or whatever. The frequency of when you produce a program, for us anyway, is up to you. I mean, you could do a program once a month. You know, you don't have, there's no commitment contract that we gotta have you in every week or whatever to have a program. It could be done periodically, it could be done.
Once a month,
Yeah,
twice
I
a
mean,
month,
it's,
every other month.
yeah, I mean, there are different things that can be done. You could have a panel of people in, I mean, I think the content for this group or many groups, it's not the issue. It's not a problem finding, you know, interesting things to talk about or things that people should be aware of. It's always, how do you put it together in a way people are gonna listen or pay attention to? So that's always the challenge, and we don't want to make it a heavy lift for you or us. But I think the door is open for this group to start doing something, maybe on a more regular basis with us to create awareness for the challenges that people have in this area.
Mary, if there was a program created, is there a sweet spot for time? Is it a half hour? Is it an hour? How does that work with programming? Could it be as short as 15 minutes or is it?
It could be, yeah, and I think that's a good point because people are just so, no, they don't want to sit for a long period of time and listen to
I
something.
would think minimum a half hour.
I think a half hour would be a good place to go. But again, it kind of depends upon what's the goal, who's gonna participate, all of those things.
And what you're talking about too. They might be longer.
That's true. And that's the other thing about what we do is Jason can tell you when we do City Current on
I watched you
Wednesdays.
guys, you guys are
Thank
good.
you. We don't get to that. I've got to watch the clock and going, oops, we better wrap this up. But sometimes that program ends up being 17 minutes. I think one time we had a really short one. It wasn't a lot to talk about that time. And we've had some that go right up to like 45 because that's kind of our deadline on that program is. I think people's attention span is so short that you just going an hour, it's possible because Shannon Huber does that and so does Cheryl Carey with their programs. But you gotta be ready, you gotta be, comfortable in that setting as well.
Well, and, half hour to me for our mission is what I think.
Yeah.
could be.
Yeah. And the other thing that we could talk about, since a lot of people probably don't know about it, we're working on this quality index rating for how long? To have a discussion on what that actually means and what we're doing to try to move us forward in that direction. Or to talk about maybe to bring in a panel or something on different organizations that are inclusive or work on diversity in our area. I mean, there's a billion things we could talk about. That would be on our mission side.
It's never the problem of what, it's how you put it together in a way that, again, makes sense and people are gonna pay attention to. I think, one of the first steps would be is there a decision to go forward? And then you map out, here's our first 6 shows, here's the topics we're going to, and who's participating. Is there a regular host or co-hosts? I will say that our room isn't gonna accommodate 5 people. 3 would be comfortable, 4 can be managed. I think Cheryl's had 5 or 6 in there at times, but it gets a little unwieldy with the microphones and who you're listening to and.
And this would be done in the radio studio, which also has cameras,
Right.
so
We
it could be
record,
both.
yeah, if you've
Video.
seen City Current, we're sitting in the radio space. And we have cameras in there, so we're capturing it on video, so it goes out on television, it goes out on streaming, it goes out on radio, it's a whole.
And so the role of Mary's team is the production and the technological side of it. The role of this group would be the voice. Develop the content, be in the moment, be there, ask the questions, engage in that dialogue. But the ask isn't of any of you to run cameras or microphones or do any of that. That's what her team brings to the table.
No, but it would be nice if we eventually trained you, because the radio room is not rocket science. I mean, I don't say that because I'm not operating it, but.
I know if you hit the red
But-
button. it triggers.
But Shannon runs her own meeting and Cheryl's pretty independent now too, and they get so familiar with the board that they're just like, okay. Yeah,
Now, are they recording video or is there
No,
purely
no
audio?
video on
Okay,
this. That's
so that would be the difference
You're right.
with City Current, because
Right.
we're putting up maps and visuals and trying to describe those things as
Yeah.
well for anybody that is watching online. But then for those listening on the radio, you have to describe what the monitors are showing, so it's not
You're right.
necessarily
And
perfect.
when they're using the cameras, now we're stepping up a level
Yeah.
in technology, so we.
But if it started conversationally at the radio level first,
Yeah. People are
Very-
much more comfortable about coming in when you're not on camera. I mean, we've seen that.
But, if we wanted the camera, it wouldn't be a problem if we,
I would, no, I mean, we could work for that. I think we'd want to get familiar first, so you gotta get
Yeah.
wet a little bit.
Yeah, I get
practice a little
that.
bit.
so we get a routine down.
Yeah. And if something like this was developed more on an ongoing basis, I think eventually it takes time for people to get more aware of what you're doing and the importance of what you're doing.
And I think that'll get our name out there far more than the film festival. It's all about film. If she is saying who has a film festival, and it's how much of an ordeal or how much planning it is, and the fact that she can't fill the bill after 10 years, I'm very concerned of us having something.
Yeah,
I'll be
it's just,
speaking for our 20th anniversary in October. So here, if it's okay that I jump in. First up, thanks for taking time and sorry I was late too. In my mind, a film festival is really difficult to just pull off. But what I'd hoped we could do is have actual discussion and show 1 to 2 short films that start the discussion about local. And looking at this list compared to the one we got sent from the library, which were like just general movies across the nation, these are the type of movies we were hoping for, because we'd like to have a conversation and invite the actual city commission who asked for these conversations within the community when we were trying to address the hate crime ordinance, and said we weren't having these conversations in the community. And my hope had been that some short films that were relatable to local would be able to be shown, one at the beginning and one in the middle, with discussion in between from past HRC people and different things, as well as elected officials. To me, that's a lot different than a film festival where we're just showing movies and trying to draw people in. So, I mean, it is a big lift, but I think it would be a different situation trying to have these conversations. In my mind, that would draw people when we have the BSC Diversity Committee get involved and other organizations, Sacred Pipe and all of that, talking about this in the community, that we're finally going to have conversations on hate within Bismarck and show films that relate to it and can like prompt the conversation without us being threatening or anything, you know, uncomfortableness of us just, what is your thoughts? You know, let's watch a film where they address it, a short here, and then let's open it up to a couple community members and then have discussions. To me, that was a little different than just bringing in and showing movies and trying to get people in. But I may be wrong.
Yeah, I was a little, because they were gonna have a discussion, but I didn't know if it was the filmmaker. I thought, so there's a discussion that we were gonna invite some of the filmmakers, but we didn't know what films they were.
Right.
To talk about that.
Looking at these, I mean, we could grab any two of these and it would open wide, complete conversations that are relatable and local. But that's just in my mind. What does the committee think? You know, I get a loud voice where I talk over and I have a vision that I see. But this is a committee, you know.
That's how I interpreted the event as well, was shorts with conversations. But I've never been to a film festival, so that's what I thought a film festival was. But like, yeah, I mean, even just like looking at these right off the bat, there's two that I'm like are very relevant to even Bismarck or North Dakota right now. It would be awesome to just show, like you said, have a conversation for that event. But I agree with that you have to have food.
Yeah, and it's not an either or here. I think that you're on something different. What list are you looking at?
Your list.
My list,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah,
okay.
it's attached. to the
All right.
back.
Cause that, you know, but even depending on budget or whatever, like, if, and I'm sure we could, I forget, can we get sponsors? Like, can we get donated food for an event like this? From the,
I have to check and see.
okay,
Well, I was, when I said the food thing, that was more like an event, a celebration kind of thing, but what you're talking about is conversations and panel,
And that is our 20th
Yeah.
anniversary. You know, we're a committee for addressing these issues and bringing them to light within the community. We haven't done this in years. From what I can see in past stuff, this would be a great celebration for a 20th anniversary to bring past and current humanitarian award winners such as Geraldine Ambe, who addressed the, migrant issue and refugee issue at Burleigh County, as well as a hate crime, and have her have a conversation with our city leaders after One Cambodian Family, Please for My Pleasure, or migrants, and then we open it up, and then we have Cheryl come in and have a conversation after Feed the Wolf or any other, Indigenous leaders within our community, and we open this up to the conversation that was made very relevant at the hate crime ordinance, that people aren't understanding there is this hate that has to be addressed, and how about we do it in a civil way as well as a celebratory way. I don't know, it's weird, it's a weird thought, but that's just what I was thinking. When we look at it, if we were, how much is the library?
I don't believe there was a fee for the library.
Okay. Would there be cost for any of these shorts?
I don't think so.
Wow, if there's a food budget right there, we can have the African nomad cater it, and then we're bringing in people within the
but
community.
we could even just look at small little, it doesn't have to be
Right.
fully.
Appetizers
Library let you do that.
in the basement room. I
Yeah,
think.
so we do our employee recognition
Oh, okay.
celebration each year. We have refreshments
Yeah,
brought in.
that would be nice,
So-
I think, yeah.
Just a thought, not that any of the civic leaders would agree to this. That's the other part. Who knows?
We're putting it out there to invite them to have that conversation.
Right.
Both of these, that was the one that was the one sticking point, right? Like we
All of
haven't
them
talked,
said we haven't talked
we
enough.
haven't talked enough about hate and all of this, and
Right.
so. I mean, the one Cambodian is the one that stood out to me the most right there.
Have you seen that film?
No, but
It's-
I want to.
I have to watch all of it.
Yeah.
And the filmmaker, she is Fargo native.
Right.
But had moved away a long time ago. I think she's in New York, but she just loved, she came for the film festival.
Mhm.
And she just had a wonderful time and couldn't say enough about the reception that she had. So she was really happy to do this. So it was her mother that this is based on, her mom.
And even if we can't get, I mean, because even if it's just, if it ends up being one film, a panel. And I mean, even if we, talk to Geraldine and get, her, the dance club that she can, or something, just showing diversity.
Some cultural.
Yes, I
aspect
think
of
we
it.
have to have something for our 20th.
Mhm.
But I'm kind of obsessed with the idea of a program, because that is, who knows who listens, but we are having
Yes.
conversation
Right.
then. We're
We
having
can
those
have it for
platforms.
podcast before the,
And I love all the other ideas you brought up, the podcast and all of that. I'm 100% gung ho. Like I would make time in my schedule to come and start doing that.
Stop sleeping, is that what you're gonna do?
Yeah,
It could be like, your event could be a kickoff
Yeah.
to say, we're gonna continue these
Yeah.
conversations.
right. And then bring in the city commissioner and rotate the city commissioners that we have with different people within the community and start having these conversations on a regular basis. And not just on this issue, but just kick off, like you said, a lot of open conversations to involve, and we could be the catalyst for it.
Well, and I still love the idea of a podcast, so we
Yeah.
can kick that off with the
Yeah.
conversations. That would be.
I would be more than willing to do that, but I would just need content and somebody else from the committee to be there.
Right,
Cause I don't wanna do it for myself.
And I think it would be a tag team, and I think we all have the areas where we're really, like more involved in certain areas of our mission. And so it would make sense for those of us that are involved, like I work with a lot of refugees, that would be,
right.
involved with Native Americans, stuff like that. It would help.
Yep.
My question and slight concern is, even though we all look at our mission and don't see any controversy in it, how do we
There's
present,
always
how do
conflicts,
you present it in a
confrontational way.
because
Right.
I'm assuming that being as a city organization, we do need to make that a priority.
Well, and I think that's a really good point, and that's why I always say about Cheryl Carey and her program. It's not heavy-handed. You don't, me as a white woman in this community, I don't walk away, I don't go away from this program going, gee, I feel like I got beat up.
Right,
Why do I want to continue to listen to this? No, I find it super interesting because they're like about it.
Can you listen to them anytime?
Yeah, they're on in our archives. We store them all on Mixcloud. So you can Google it. I mean, you can go on our website and just go to Radio Access and you'll see the podcast area, and she's right in the list. So,
Cool.
yeah. It's a great program. But again, the heavy handedness, if that's what you're gonna beat people over the head in a negative way and just keep pounding on them, telling them you're wrong, they're not gonna come back,
so if we decide to go forward on this, I think we need to make a decision tonight. And I also think we need to decide who we're gonna reach out to speak, because October is getting busy for everyone right now.
yeah,
Because
And October's not that far off.
we had a hard time to decide what weekend to do it
Is it on the weekend?
on Saturday.
And you guys are not open at voted media access on Saturday.
Not usually, no. But for your event, I don't think that really.
No, it's at the library.
Just a question. Peanut calendar over here, so I know the group has been interested in hosting, a good sized venue, the public can attend. would something like this work in the studios? So it was done once, recorded and made available as, it maybe doesn't check the box for the celebration and the recognition of the 20th anniversary, but if it's a program that has a home and it lives on their website or in their rotational videoing, is that enough to get started or?
You do it virtually,
Yeah,
basically is what you're saying.
right. So invite people in. Two of you are there as the host and the panel. You screen the film. You don't actually screen it during the recording. So you record the first part where you're talking about, here's the films we're gonna see. Here's why they're important to us. Then you stop, show that film as part of the program, and then come back and talk about that film with the filmmaker. And maybe that person is on via Teams or Zoom, so you don't have to necessarily have them here. You pre-stage your questions, you have that conversation. It's just done without a physical audience. That might be your kickoff to, hey, we're gonna do more programming in the PMA. It might look like this, it might look like radio, we're not sure. Want to see what the feedback looks like. The advantage to that scenario would be you're not working up against a deadline to get to October 22nd to have 80 people at the library have these films, this. I think I'm concerned that the amount of time to get to that is too short. But if you had a very deliberate approach to the message, who you are, what you are, here's some films, it lives in infamy after that. It's not just a one and done 22nd of October. It's out there. And you'll have a place on the Dakota Media Access website for all of the programming to then become available, just like City Current, City Commission, Park Board, all of those things have a space on the website.
So my question is, if all of us go to the Dakota Access, is that considered as like a meeting then?
Well, we wouldn't want 5 of you there at the same time. This would have to be split up into a smaller manageable group because the studio isn't gonna host 9 people. So maybe for this event, it's 2 or 3 of you and the other person or people there would be those filmmakers or someone associated with those films that you could then have the conversations with. Or as you suggested, HRC members, city commissioners, whatever that case could be, because you could even have a full panel of people on Zoom and go around and say, you know, what are your thoughts? What are your reactions? What are your concerns? How does this relate to our community? I don't know, just throwing out different options for your.
Willing to do it that way than to do it in person too. I mean, on the time aspect, do you think, knowing especially the Cambonian one, do you think we reached out to her that she'd be willing to do something like this? Yeah, I think it'd be great to have a filmmaker. I really do.
I haven't had
It's their
any
vision.
conversation with her for quite a while. But, I mean, she could be anywhere. It's hard to say, but I know that she was very pleasantly surprised at the reception she got here. So be willing.
The thought with having a virtual platform versus an in-person platform that allows people to be a little more nimble with their scheduling.
Yep.
And then you're not pushing for that hard, you gotta hit it by October 22nd.
And then you're just working to get butts in the seat. And-
Right.
And if you have end of
In October,
October,
the weather can be kind of
a lot
nasty.
of stuff going on with families and football and all this other stuff. You're competing with all these other events. If you end up getting 20 people in the room, are you gonna be happy?
A lot of work.
That's a
And
lot
half
of
of you are on the committee, and then the other half of you brought somebody, so you're talking to your friends, and you're not necessarily talking to a new audience. This way, you have a worldwide audience. Nobody other than this group knows the 20th anniversary is October, right? So you can be very vague about this and say, in celebration of the HRC's 20th anniversary, here are the things we're going to be doing in 2023. And start with a film screening and a conversation to have with it, to start that. And then break it down from there with podcasts or regular programming, but you could use the time between today, I'll just say January, to build that content, to start to really do that work, identify who the other voices are. I like the idea of, you know, kind of partnering up and each of you have your kind of focus areas that align with the mission. I think 2 people plus a potential third voice, an outside voice would be the right recipe. And if you could build a schedule, I know with the radio programming, isn't it the desire to have at least 6 programs before they start in the rotation
Yeah,
for,
if you want a regular time slot.
right?
Yeah.
And those would be things, you know, like, if you listen to the program, you know what I'm talking about, the names of the programs that are, same program is on every Saturday at 4 o'clock. It's the Phono 40. But in order for him to get to that 4 o'clock time slot, he had to have 6 shows ready to go before they'd even say, here's your permanent slot. So that might give you time to develop your content, develop the order of operations, you know, the themes that are going along with this, and see if you can get 12 shows worth of conversations started.
What I like about that virtual, like, screening too, is we have a list here, like, if that's how we get our first, like, we choose the first program, and then we don't have anyone to bring to the table to have a conversation, maybe we do a second, type thing from here too. I think there's a lot of good content.
I like the idea of kind of pulling in community partners. You could easily be the platform to shine a light on all the other agencies that are out there, and the HRC becomes a common denominator to raise up those voices. And not that they need any help, but to align yourself with some of these other groups in town that support the mission of the HRC. I think there's any harm in a little collaboration once in a while. And then there's fresh content from Global Neighbors, Sacred Pipe, Bismarck Public Schools, Dakota Outright. I mean, the list goes on. You guys need to list better than I do.
Services.
Yeah, these are people that you're working with all the time.
Yeah, and they could be packaged up, when you look at the length of some of those films, I mean, some of them are 3 minutes. You know, if you have a film and 2 people chatting, you could have a 15, 20-minute program. Just package them up in small pieces. That way, you're kind of dishing it out in small quantities, it makes it palatable, I think, easier to digest, yeah.
Also, you all have full-time other
Yeah.
things too. So this, if this were a commitment to say 2 hours out of every month, 2 of you need to be in the same place at the same time. That's it. That's a lot easier to plan for than trying to get 80 people in the library and everything else in the next 6 weeks, because if that event in October is going to be tremendously successful, you need to be marketing it for a month, which means you need to make decisions tonight. It means you need to have commitments from people that we don't even know yet. So
And look at how hard it was for us all to agree on one. I mean, if those of us couldn't figure out a single date that worked, I mean, I imagine October is gonna be challenging. I don't know anything about radio, so when it comes, like, I'm guessing you guys have a way to track, like how many people are listening.
We don't, because we're non-commercial, we don't come up on Arbitron or anything, and
podcasts, are there a count to the downloads?
yeah, you could do that. But again, it's not for us, we always say it's really not about ratings. The link for that program could also be put in your on your website, and it could be sent out in an email. You could say, hey, the most recent edition of whatever title
Think
you
of
give
a
this.
name.
You could send that out to a mailing list. The most recent edition is completed, you watch it here, or it's available on, and there's, so many different ways to consume it, so.
So I was just thinking if we started out once a month, that would be, I think, a realistic expectation from us. But if we knew it was being listened to, if people were,
But
then,
it takes time for that
yeah,
following to happen too,
yes,
you know.
yeah.
So,
Nobody here, maybe
and I know we talked about this before. I know it'll be hard because the Tom Baker one was getting used quite a bit, is getting our name out there, having our meetings on television.
It's gonna be a challenge because
Yeah.
Burley County is meeting at the exact same time your meetings every month, so.
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
why
I
we're
was just saying if we moved it to another time.
It's not something that's really available to us at this point.
Okay.
We've been asked by another group, not too long ago, a few weeks ago, and our board has said no more meetings for now because we're so short-staffed. That capacity for us to do meetings right now are just not really in our goals at this point in
I
time.
think it's way better to get our name out this other way than meetings. I
I think-
listen to a podcast, watch
Exactly.
a film, listen to people and watch a meeting. I only watch the county commission meeting if there's something controversial that I have a true opinion on.
Yeah,
But
it
it was
involves,
the past couple of years.
right, exactly. I think that you'll get more, closer to your mission by designing your own message and packaging it out.
And know this too, this meeting is being recorded and it is available on our website along with the agendas and the minutes, so people can, after today, when the meeting becomes available, Whitney will post that link, so folks can go back and rewatch these meetings. We record them.
Oh.
So
Nice of you to tell me I was on camera.
At least the minutes were based off the little notes that you took.
they are.
And I
And then-
didn't know she was listening, like, I didn't know she was, I was like, God, he has a memory.
No, it's Whitney.
Whitney's the Wizard of Oz. She's the one.
She gave
doing all the
it
work.
switch back.
Yeah, Mary knows.
It's just a replay.
Yeah, but I would even suggest, like you say, just once a month, right? If we're going to this idea of packaging up smaller programs, the way we like to work too is to do a few of them in one setting. You know, we'd reserve a day where we could do 3 programs, and you guys, again, would parcel it out, maybe, I don't know, 2 people on 1 program. So doing the research, does it have a film? Does it not have a film? I mean, doesn't always have to, but I think, you know, coming up with some sort of title that makes sense to package these under.
And know this too, because you are an arm of the city's tree, we would do everything we can to promote awareness of this. When there's a new episode, we would send a direct link to the Dakota Media Access website, make the videos available just like we do for everything else. So they live on the DMA website, but we would absolutely do what we can to promote it through our channels, through media advisories, through social media. We've got a new communications professional starting on Monday, so that's gonna be thrilling. We'll have lots of ideas.
Have them give the Human Relations Committee a Facebook page itself. Are we able to?
We could. We could if there's going to be more content than once a month.
Yep, there will.
The content,
Say Jason's got it.
the
I've done
content,
all the
would have
social media programming for 20 years for
okay,
all the lounges, restaurants, hotels, organizations I've been involved in.
I'll be honest, that scares me just a little bit.
Like you feed it to you guys?
It would have to come,
Through you.
we would have to be the
Yes.
distributor of that information, but we would absolutely accept content. And then, not to give you a login is really what I'm trying to say.
I
We
don't
don't want
want
any accidental whoops, I posted on the wrong account. We want to avoid all of that.
Happened.
What would get done?
I know, I don't.
Yeah, so
Just a thought, see what the legality is. and
let's let him get here and we'll talk about that. Because we've had other city departments, like the fire department has said, we would like a Facebook presence, PD has one and so on. So
Yep,
there's,
And you could do events then too.
right, and you can invite people. and you-
Police
We could
have
share
their
it
own
and
page.
I'm also a public
Yep.
affairs specialist, so
Yeah, you are.
for the natural
Sorry.
resources.
how about one project at a time? We're still, let's get back to the film screening or the 20th anniversary or whatever we're calling this.
What I'm hearing then is that we don't want to do an event in October or this year.
That was, please know, that was not my intention here to submarine your efforts. It was just to kind of do a deep reality check to say, is this really what we're going to do? Or is there an option with Dakota Media to maybe do the start of something that grows into something more? Knowing you've got a little more time to work with developing content and Mary's team and that sort of thing, rather than pushing to get to a spot where we got 20 people showing up for a screening at the library.
So in my mind, I believe we need to have this public conversation. And I believe that this is the group to do it. I agree with you that nobody knows that October is our 20th anniversary. Like literally the month of October is our 20 years. Utilizing Dakota Media Access to start having some one-on-one conversations or smaller group conversations and building up to something next year, maybe a little better, and we can look at a month that would be a little more workable. in my mind, I feel like we have a duty to the city. And we heard the elected officials say, we've never had this conversation. We'd like to have more of these conversations. I think we're the group that could actually do this in a non-confrontational way. We are tasked by the city and by our own charter to hold our elected officials accountable to have these conversations. It says it in our charter or whatever that is.
Strategic plan.
Strategic plan, that's part of our task. So I think building up to it, because I think we would be falling short in something we've all been kind of pushing towards, that this group becomes more active in bringing these hard conversations.
One thought, maybe building to this, so I think it's always best to keep the city commission aware of what is going on. And just recently, the mayor, he's still getting his feet underneath him. But I will say this, our new mayor is very engaged, he's very supportive. He's got regular office hours where he's here, he's accessible. For the weekend, he asked the question, who is the HRC? Should I be attending these? Tell me more about this. And so now he has been made aware that, you know, this group exists. You're welcome to come. I encouraged him to consider attending a meeting and thinking about if you are going to build to a program, a regular program with DMA, I think it would be completely appropriate to get in front of the city commission and make them aware of your intentions and your plans, not necessarily seeking permission, but just to bring them along and then to extend the invitation to say, if you would like to be a part of any of these conversations, we would love to have you.
Can we say, as the city held portfolio, we expect you to show up to these conversations?
Say whatever you want. I'll open the door and what you say is up to you.
Especially since two of them said, as we're testifying on the hate crime ordinance, two of them said that they want to have this conversation.
And use that as your
We were both,
entry
I mean,
point.
we testified, we know.
Right.
To say, look, we heard what you said in June, and here we are to answer that call, and here's what our plan is. And then have that all laid out, and then say, starting January of 2023, you will hear these programs on DMA.
That gives us some time then.
And a little breathing room.
Commissioners are the same that were there,
Yes,
just on two different.
yep. I think that would be great. So I'm assuming the mayor is our portfolio holder still.
Correct.
It'll always be the mayor.
I believe so.
Okay.
Yes.
So he asked about this committee
Mhm.
specifically.
Yep.
I would just keep encouraging to come and always invite him till we meet the third Monday.
I will see him tomorrow. Part of his regular office hours are Tuesday mornings. And so he is here before 8 o'clock, and I will have a chance to follow up with him and let him know that this group is certainly welcoming, interested in having him come and just see what you guys do and hear what your conversations are like. I can also direct him to the website if he wants to go back and watch or listen to any of the previous meetings. They're all there too.
I mean, in looking at just the past Humanitarian of the Year award winners, we have content for months. You know, you're looking at Heaven's Helpers addressing how human relations in our community with the homeless. We have Ann Carlson, which is, you know, all these different people that we can invite back for our 20th anniversary.
The person doesn't work there anymore, but.
Right, but.
The agency still exists.
Yeah.
Right, Judith Roberts, people in recovery in our communities and how are they facing human relations issues, and there's a lot of content that we could build into a really good podcast.
I mean, I can get the disability related organization, so could Trevor, so we all have our niches as far as that goes, but.
So then the question is, do we do any celebration this year? Do we throw a party?
I think we do like a public service announcement, just like, this is our 20th anniversary.
To kick off to our 20th anniversary
You could
year.
list the accomplishments over the last 20 years. You could run down the humanitarians list and just, again, raising awareness and then building towards that 2023 goal of having a
Yeah.
monthly program of just month to month. Having
Yeah,
six programs at the beginning and then slowly build 6 more, and you've got 12 for the year. And
Right, and it's easy to build a list of invites off of the Humanitarian of the Year award winners plus previous board members. community leaders and just say, come, we're gonna have dance and music and food at the library in October. I mean, October 22nd, people will come out for food and music and fun, and we're not held to a standard.
Yeah,
How
yeah,
many meetings
I
goes
would,
to the
I
event,
wanna
or do we wanna
do,
move it to a different date? Sorry, Trevor, go ahead.
I wanna do something with dance, food, and let's have fun. And then, I think in 2023, we look at that goal of having our own program with Dakota Media Access, and we could work on, start soon here, because the holidays, if that gets, if we wanna start January of 23, I think we need to start now, start working with you guys, because it's already, by the time we meet again, it's middle of September.
Yeah.
It could be the very last day of January, it doesn't.
I know that, but if we don't set deadlines.
No, I agree, but, this is going to be maybe a huge ask of a new, public information officer. But
Who is
even,
it?
His name is Kalen Ost. He is currently a public health employee. He is the Emergency Preparedness Information Specialist. So he's a professional communicator. He's been with the city for 4 or 5 years, I think, and then done many things in the world of journalism and communications prior to that. So the learning curve will be steep, but it'll be shorter because he's an in-house employee and knows who we are as an organization.
so what I'm thinking is if we have, do you think between whoever wants to dig on Facebook or the website, even if it's, because how often does the city post on your guys's, do you guys post daily on your Facebook?
More
page?
now than ever.
Yep, and we will be, once Kalen's here, it'll be at least once a day with original content. And I'm not talking about road closure notifications. I'm talking about the good stuff.
Because what I was thinking is October 1, if we did the legwork on all human relations committee accomplishments, whether it's this was our winner from blah, 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 could we combine 30 days worth of content for him to share? Because he could
Like one
sit down,
day.
but yeah, one post a day of something the human relations committee has done over the last 20 years. If we commit to the legwork and all he has to do is schedule the post.
And then have a hour party at the end of October. I'm so big on this, if I'm.
No, it's not.
Just on people in person. I am so desperate for human contact after the last 2 years
But I think,
that.
no, I think you're right, even if it's just other than there, it should be left at the library. But I do think that if we, and maybe maybe 30 is too much, maybe it's an every other day, like if we can
Right.
commit to doing
Even
the,
twice a week.
Right.
yeah, if we
Because
can,
we've got other content during the week that we do,
Scheduled probably.
scheduled,
yeah,
pre-programmed. We've
I think
got
it's
things
like
pushed
stuck
into
in there.
October already that are just in the can, ready to go. Even if you did once a week for a month, that'd only be 4.
yeah.
If you did even twice a week, that's 8. Don't forget, the key to this, the success of these things are photos.
Right.
We may not have 20 years worth of photos here.
I will hunt down these people and take new pictures.
Your photos
I mean, literally.
But that's.
I will selfie the heck out of
Can I take a selfie with you?
If you can feed us content, we can definitely schedule it and have it go out. And that, for now, could live on the City of Bismarck page where we've got roughly 10,000 followers.
Yeah.
And that's continuing to grow. And then when we share it, when we post it, that the PD can share it, library, the event center, all these other city pages. So the reach can be
How
pretty
about we do it,
exponential.
can we do it twice a week on the same days of the week?
Yes.
Like every Tuesday and Thursday, I'm just picking those days or something, so it's consistently the same days.
I think that's a good idea.
Maybe one more, just.
Things be
It
working.
was your
for you.
birthday, just keep on giving more sugar, let's go.
I would be willing to do any public service announcement down there, I did it that day, I logged in.
So-
It's pretty easy.
Yeah, it
to
is.
do, because they didn't know I was coming over,
Yeah.
so it's sudden.
That's basically.
Yeah, I already
Sorry, said that.
admitted to that.
Yeah, I'm sorry about it.
I screwed that up.
It's
okay.
I was like,
That was on me.
Sorry, I went down there, Jason.
That's okay.
That's good though, Trevor. There was suddenly a middle of the night conversation of, oh my God, we never heard back from the doodle poll. Were we supposed to be at
Oh,
Dakota Media Access? And then we felt horrible. We're like, did we just stand up Dakota Media Access?
I'm like, I never even signed up.
And then I'm like, I think it was this week, that was this week, like, that was it.
see, Jason.
I know.
So we're-
That's why I'm not the communications person here.
When do you think we could do that public?
I'd have to check with staff to see when they're available. We can start over and give you some dates.
I won't have to do it because they were gonna save mine.
Okay.
Nice.
Oh, it's all done. Did you do the generic one? Like-
Yeah, I just did it
Okay.
on the radio
Okay.
station. I told them it's hard for me to get down there. Cause I had to take the bus and I
Oh,
had
yeah.
First Transit, didn't know the right location.
You guys, do we have your logo? You have a logo, right?
Yeah, we have all the
Logo.
digital pedigree stuff to go along with it, so
Okay.
it's a good quality logo.
Send it
Okay.
to me. We'll work up a page and then send it back to you guys to approve it.
Okay.
But we can do a page that just rotates in and out of the bulletin board.
Okay, that sounds great. Thank you, man.
And if you have an event, it sounds like you're gonna have an event.
Yeah.
Somebody-
Well, could I just like recommend, like, if we're gonna do something with just like food and like music, should we move the venue so it's like more of a social, conversational?
Are we able to? Do we have?
Did we look into PSC?
I think we ended up with the library because that was it.
Yep.
But the library, that's where the global neighborhood jamborees have been and,
Will they allow food in there?
Yes.
Yes.
Yep.
Yep. We can
Oh, yeah, that one, when we went to that one thing, that was nice at the library. And we had you and I were there. But
There was so many things. Oh, yeah, but that was upstairs.
yeah, it was upstairs.
Yeah, this is, I'll be downstairs, but they have food. I was like,
They have that, I'm assuming it's the room with the stage.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
yeah, Dakota Outright has done food and events there. I've done screenings for Sleepy Hollow there for their,
okay.
and there was some addition.
Like, what do you suggest we have there?
Just,
I just keep saying African Nomad because her food is amazing and she does appetizers.
What
And I
is it?
love giving local business.
I'm also like,
He's got two, like,
Nicole could just provide.
we're getting together, but we got.
Those are 2 points.
Yeah.
Full conversation together.
We're doing the back down.
Geraldine's dance, some indigenous drums, I mean, we can, this is easy to pull together,
So,
it
Jason-
really is. Event coordinating without speakers and a panel is really simple, like, hey, come in.
Why don't we just get a poolside room at the Kelly Inn and.
There is no Kelly.
I was just gonna say.
Kelly-
Kelly Inn, which is now a car wash, so that's cool.
So, you go down to the Ramcota.
Oh, no, sorry.
Tristan, what times do we have like booked at the library that day?
I think it's the whole afternoon.
So Jason, other Jason, how long are you wanting your event?
An hour tops,
Which I had I
No.
almost have,
2 hours, you think?
Because that gives people time to drop in and like an hour is like,
Okay.
you're here or you miss it.
5:30 to 7:30.
I open that later.
Oh, on a Saturday, never mind. I would think give people after work. 11 to 1.
I think people after work is a good idea though, too.
Yeah,
then we'd have to do it a different day of the week.
we're,
Sorry to throw that out
no,
there,
I feel like booking it, we're good to be booked.
We went 11 to 1 where it's a lunch hour. We're gonna give them lunch. That would
No, that's true. 1 to 3, 9 to 11.
I only want to get up early, 1 to 3.
9 o'clock is not early.
For some people,
On
it's
the
not early,
weekend,
still, but
people,
Because a lot of kids' sports are right away in the morning too.
Oh, yeah.
Right, 1 to 3, they're done with soccer or football or whatever, soccer's not in October. I mean, it is, okay, yes, it is, yes.
Who knows?
Hockey.
Curling, exactly.
1 to 3, I think on a Saturday is a good time. And
Like
it's,
you're being too loud.
we have such a, that's okay. We have such a, and I keep saying this, we have such a big list of past members as well as honorees that we can get 40 people invited right there, as well as every org that we're involved in. And we'll have at least 50 people show up.
So we just basically reach out and invite all the people that were passed with.
Yeah, say we'd like to recognize you.
What happens if we don't have the numbers or the phone numbers and the,
Where good stalkers will find us.
Yeah, we can look on Facebook maybe, or they might have access.
We know a lot of them.
That's a good question.
And if they're organizations, it doesn't matter who goes there or not.
Yep,
And city commissioners will reach out.
yes, city commissioners and mayor, I think would be good.
And different departments like Renee.
Right, public health, the library,
The police department.
yep.
Sounds like you need a formal invitation to.
They actually think.
Can we get a formal invite built for that?
Canva invite or something.
Please
got-
don't
yeah.
shoot us, Whitney.
Whitney's lucky shit.
Or Alyssa could help as well.
Okay.
Alyssa's got Adobe skill set when it comes to Photoshop and some of
Cool.
that, so we could mock up an invitation for your consideration.
So
Okay.
as far as the invitation, are we going to, is it gonna be a mail out or is it an email out or how's that gonna work?
All of the above.
I think you'd want a direct mail to a specific list, and then that same invitation would go on our social media. We could ask the EMA to put it on their carousel of recurring or activities. We would do a news release. I mean, we would do all the traditional communications things that we can to promote the heck out of this. So it's not just your 50 friends coming, it's the general public too.
Right. Then,
Jason's 50 friends. Jason's got 50 friends himself. So look at him.
His party.
I will be on the show.
I'm sure he has way more than 50 friends.
Yes, deal. I agree. Toasted frog to cater it. If we're spending nothing, are we allowed to spend funds on
I
catering?
don't think so, because we can't even spend funds for staff. Like
Okay.
if we have a working meeting for the city commissioners and we buy them a box lunch, we take turns buying the lunch and it's all the
So,
individuals that work here.
What if we get somebody to donate?
so what about if we do like our own baking?
mhm.
You could do that.
What if we get someone to donate the food?
Donate baking.
What they had the
Advocate nomad, but now we don't know if we can pay.
I don't think city resources can go to that.
would, if you book them as a sponsor and it, would think it would be good for them to some degree.
Mhm.
If you had a sugar daddy,
Yeah,
Is it a food truck?
no, she is catering, but I mean, she's done all kinds of events
But she gets,
paid.
yeah, those aren't all donated.
If we get if we can say we have these many that RSVP'd from across the community, would you be willing to donate some time or one appetizer? I don't know. We'll have to see. Can you see if we can?
Yeah.
Donations?
It's okay.
Okay,
You don't think we can though, Jason?
I don't believe so, but I will ask.
okay, so then we potluck it.
Well, another, I mean, if donations are an option, then let's say Jasmine can donate. Maybe our committee member and Nicole could donate some smaller items or.
And I'm just wondering, I know like for the schools, like we can't bring in outside food, like it has to be
It
from.
has to be in a commercial kitchen or it has to be from a.
So I'm just wondering if we would have those same regulations if we're hosting it for the public.
Especially if someone can get, yeah, probably, I'm sure it is.
Because some people have food allergies or whatever.
Mhm.
So, and if there's no food, Jason, there's no party.
Mhm.
Like, let's be.
Oh, yeah, 100% honest.
but I think from 1 to 3, you're talking about just like, something,
Oh, I like that place.
Well, that's where Aaron opened.
They have an upstairs
Yeah, that's a huge party room.
at the Toasted Frog.
they've got a party room on the main floor and then the Coastal or the Juniper work and tile space is upstairs, which is basically a rentable space for all sorts of gatherings and things. When the
Like the Bill
governor,
Connor's office now.
that's right, they're in there
They
too.
just moved up there.
That's right.
So it might-
I don't even know if
Work
it's,
is done,
is it?
Yeah, it's done.
Okay.
So there may not be that venue anymore.
not upstairs,
Yeah, that's
but
right.
they do have a meeting room in the main.
Yeah, and 25
But it's
people
kinda
filled it up.
stuck in the back,
It's
yeah.
No windows, it's, yeah, it's not the most glamorous.
I think if we can find out if we can ask if people, yeah, that commercial thing. Cause I could even see other nonprofits who would be like, well, our nonprofit can pay for desserts for 40 people to bring to this, you know what I, like,
Well, and I think if we like highlight, you know, the past, you know, awardees that people would want to donate to celebrate that,
If we can get donations
if we can get donations, I think that's
so
gonna
it'd
be
be
the
in
first
kind
question.
of, like,
in kind.
Because I don't get
It wouldn't
we
be
can-
to us to hold. We
it would be.
wouldn't be
They
taking
would be
in,
bringing the food.
right?
So who do you have to ask about this, the city attorney,
And the finance director.
Dimitri?
Yep.
Outside of that, I will bake 200 cookies.
He really wants to have a party
You want commercial kitchen?
From my commercial kitchen.
that I will acquire.
And then the food inspector will come, so then.
But he-
Actually, I'm friends with all of them. So it should be
But
okay.
even if it is, like, if commercial is required, cause even African Nomad, she doesn't have a brick and mortar, I don't think, she does everything on her. So that, I mean, like, that's a restriction too.
So then we would have to look at renting a space at an actual restaurant. Is that allowed either?
This party is taking a bowling party.
No.
Just like, well, I guess Bush Foundation isn't like a public entity, but Bush Foundation just has like really awesome stories for.
At Toasted.
Not to try and pour water on your party, but the Bismarck Historical Society hosts an event every month at the library and they don't have any refreshments.
Yeah.
It's a program, a historical program that
I
typically,
think it's gonna be mostly people that we reach out to.
So we don't need food.
So, and we, like,
It's not a,
I can bring a couple cases of water.
you
Perfect.
bring water, I will donate water.
Okay, let's not
There you
care.
go. Buy
Then I'm
some and
okay
mix
with
it
it.
and Crystal
Yeah,
Light
I
flavor,
go.
so if somebody wants.
I'll go to
cherry,
Costco, I'll get
Okay.
the stuff.
yes.
I got that.
Okay,
Oh,
so
Yes,
I didn't
scratch
bring
the food.
coffee.
yeah, I think there's a coffee pot there and there's ways to do this on
yeah,
a shoestring budget. So
Shoot.
with commercial, like,
so I will provide all the paper, like the cups and all of that.
We'll
stuff.
figure that out.
We'll figure this out, we'll just-
I will.
Why is she?
So we're still rolling with October 22nd. Just so you have it. October 22nd, 1 to 3, we're getting formal invites built. We will figure out partial snack seas. Okay,
Drinks.
Coffee and
basically.
cookies.
yeah,
Cause I do have.
light refreshments is what the invitation will say.
perfect. You're good at this. See, you're an event planner.
Let's see what to do.
Oh, gosh.
We'll talk to, we have a few options.
We'll just
There's
give Jason a mic.
Yeah, I know that, Red Road, Good Road Recovery Center has a drum circle now that they like getting out into the public to draw awareness to the recovery within MHA. There's Geraldine's dance troupe, their dance group that she does.
We're the singing people from the Martin Luther King Day, they're amazing.
Yep, we have numerous international churches in town.
Good.
There's,
Tiger Roll.
yeah, we can
I
pull
think Tiger Lily
together.
would come from Nashville.
Maybe we could pull together all kinds of different things.
But
Hey.
you're from here.
Yep,
Don't know unless you ask.
yep.
Can you come from Nashville? We won't pay you.
We're having an hour and a half.
You
at
have
the
some water.
library, in the basement of the
I'll ask
library.
Nancy and
With
Walmart.
light refreshments.
Yeah,
Why, when you circle around the why,
right.
what's positive, people?
Okay, cool.
So this is pretty easy. We can start making asks of people that we know.
My friend was on the voice.
Perfect. Get them.
Put 'em.
We're done.
Don't get proud of that.
It's like stunning.
Actually, I have a friend that was nominated for the Grammys.
Perfect.
He's the BSC director.
Medora Singers, I got this.
Public service announcement.
We call those swords and see. if
And
anyone-
they'll-
Yeah.
You know it's an anniversary.
And then they're gonna invite all their friends.
Yeah, cause we.
They're plenty friends.
We should be.
So we're gonna have, how many, how much room is that hold?
Hey, it's 2 hours, they're coming and going.
It's close to 200.
Yeah.
200 will have it.
Okay.
We'll fill it. I'm
We'll
almost
flow.
positive, watch.
Just see
They
what
have never had my cooking.
Okay.
The diversity university.
I'm not sure we're all on, Mr. Chairman. I'm not quite sure I got all the details here yet. So
Okay.
just so I can recap, so I know who's doing what here. We're gonna work on an invitation to mock something up, date, time, location, celebration of the HRC's 20th anniversary. We'll try and put together a little list of the itinerary,
Yep.
including light refreshments and entertainment. And the rest of you are going to find people that will be a part of the entertainment.
Yeah.
Or is there any speaking or is there any film screenings? This is more of a reception to celebrate the 20th anniversary.
Yep, just.
And maybe-
We can talk about HRC though.
Yes, we're gonna talk about
Somebody should
HRC.
talk about why you're here.
And if we can get some of these past awardees, recognize them again, like a through the years type thing. Where are they now? This is your life.
That needs to be on the invitation.
No.
So that's more entertainment and light refreshment.
As well as honoring past
Recipients.
recipients and members.
Yep.
Okay.
Jason's
We'll figure out the rest.
And as far as Mary goes over here,
Mary's like,
Oh,
oh,
Mary's like,
I love it.
she's like,
I wanted to give it something.
I guess we can certainly add the Dakota Media component to all future agendas until things are done. But for Mary's sake, maybe we'll give this group a month and then maybe invite you back to October, November and see,
sure.
just kind of spitball some things and they'll have time to develop some content. 6 programs worth of, here's the topics, here's who we think we're gonna have, and then start to build on that idea of a podcast or a radio show. Is that,
Yeah.
so we kind of got 2 things out of this.
Freezing up thing.
Three. Are we able to still do these short
Yes, please.
PSAs?
Oh, sure.
Can we try and get some knocked out before October?
If you can offer
Oh,
some
yeah.
dates of when your team is
They're
available,
not hard.
cool.
I mean,
If you can share a couple dates and times that your team's available, we'll say next week, at least to get out
Yes.
ahead of this week. I will do my best to make sure this group gets it.
Okay.
Whitney will help.
And it could just, we'll need 2 more content. One about the event, and then we have the standard one that we already had. One about.
And then you'll have mine down there
Yep.
already.
Yep, and then one about maybe history, like a short snippet. I don't know.
30 seconds.
Yeah,
30 seconds
Yeah.
at the top.
Let's get in. And your event, you know, you don't have to do it till you're ready, till you've got the details.
okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
So literally, it would just be the one standard one that we would maybe, the one we already fed you, that we would maybe have a few different people come in
Sure.
and voice.
Yeah.
So we could run it a few different times.
That sounds good. Did you
with
say
different
next week,
people.
Jason?
Yeah, if your team's got dates and times next week that aren't too terrible, if you can shoot me 2 or 3 options and I can share that with
Sure.
this group and then.
It doesn't take long,
Okay.
obviously. They're only 30 seconds, but practice before you come in.
Yeah.
So you know, you're familiar with it. You're not looking at it for the first time.
Yeah, they gave me a little script because I was looking.
Yeah, you gotta have something to kind of practice beforehand. I think that would be great. The other thing too is think of it for the ongoing program. Is there a title you want to put this under? What do we package
Have
it under?
something fun.
Human relations.
Human conversations, diverse conversations.
I like that. too.
Conversations.
What's that?
I
Like
like human
human
conversations.
Doing conversations in the biz.
That's a post.
But I get it.
Keep it short though, yeah.
Human
I
conversations.
don't like that.
And then, as Jason mentioned, just, you know, prioritize, set up a list of topics. Who is the best suited to focus on that topic, to do the research and to be on the microphone? And what, yes,
Guess we're gonna have.
right.
I want to have a podcast for years. It's
I
my-
know, I'm very.
Is it a film? They don't all have to have films. I think that you don't, well, obviously, if we're doing radio, we're not gonna have a film at all, but, eventually move to the camera thing.
That could be a specialty thing. Maybe
Yeah.
Once or twice a year, you grab a film and bring in a group and, have some successes with your podcast first before you
Yeah.
jump into everything.
Okay.
I think keep it audio only at this point and just get your feet wet and comfortable doing it. Cause it's the preparation work that takes the most time,
And I'll say
getting
this,
that ready.
from being a part of DMA with their programming with the city current, it is amazing how many people come up to you and say, I think I saw you on TV, or I heard you on the radio the other day. You'll be surprised how many people will find this content. It's
takes time.
amazing. It does. You gotta be patient and
Yep.
especially if you can get into that time slot. I don't know. I mentioned Saturday at 4 o'clock. I find a way to get to a radio every Saturday at 4 o'clock because I like the program that's on. People will find you if you give them a reason to come back. But the nice thing about the scheduling is you can just count on it. It'll always be there that date and time. It just gets built into the program, which is,
Plus, of course, we have a technical.
well, yeah, unless you hear symphony music, then the radio program isn't working because the symphony music is.
That's our default. You
So-
hear symphony playing on the channel, it's like, oh, they got a problem.
And maybe some
Better to go
homework,
quiet.
for you between now and the next meeting, 102.5 FM. If you don't have it tuned in on your radio, if you don't have a radio, go find one. Or
Radioaccess.org. We're live streaming.
Now has it programmed as number one that I've ever driven.
but it's only good for 7 miles.
Yeah.
That's the other thing.
Did you say this vehicle?
Just know for as much as Dakota Media has World Wide Web, the local radio is about a 7 mile bandwidth. So once you get to north of Bismarck, it's getting a little scratchy.
Yeah, it's a low power station.
We'll help you petition the commission for more funding.
Can we just start from? That's what money.
Well,
They're like,
like,
just asking for money.
for the, like, art competition,
No, I
if we
think
do have it judged, like, the winner for whatever category could be interviewed as well. I'm
Mhm.
talking about when that piece needs to.
So we still have to get to that on the agenda.
Are we good with this?
Yes.
I think we've got enough to give you something for the next time around. and You guys have enough to work on, so you come back with something as well.
So are you guys going to send us since I don't know when we want to send out the invites, but are you gonna send it for us to look at? Okay.
Yeah. Try and get something before the end of the
Then
week.
Jason will work on getting everyone's addresses. We'll help you out, sir.
Well, this kind of programming is within our mission too. When we've done any kind of planning or whatever, we always hear from the community that this is what they want to hear.
And what is
our
your
mission? Well, first and foremost, it's providing coverage for the public meetings. That's why we were organized 37 years ago or so, is to bring the public meetings onto the cable channels, but we do much more than that now. But, we're here to serve the community in the best way we can, but we answer to the cities of Bismarck and Mandan also right now. That's how we're structured, so.
Those are the only two counties.
Bismarck and Mandan, yeah.
Cities, not counties.
Yes. That's who we serve, yeah. We're local,
Here's Pascal.
hyper local, so.
Don't worry, he said it out loud anyways.
Thanks for your time.
Are you good?
Very,
Okay.
very helpful.
Thank you.
Thanks,
I'm
Mary.
excited
We've
about it.
made a few of our dreams come true.
Yeah.
One of our dreams.
Already all being.
I can take on the podcast. I'll talk about
So then, we still.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's what I want.
It was inferring, like, make some references based
Dig
on
it out,
how you said
I think I
it.
know.
Was that, I just have a quick question for you, was that,
Oh, I see the pictures anymore.
why did you stop?
Okay,
I've kept myself.
The ARC was the ones that were promoting it, It's got my information in the back.
Yeah.
And the executive director just didn't want to produce it anymore.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so
Yeah,
it takes time to put it together. I mean, and
Yeah.
you have to have that partner, just like we're looking to this
Yeah.
committee to do
Yeah.
the
We
work.
probably have a.
Put the content together, we'll do the technical.
Yeah.
Oh, I bet you would love that.
What else? Like when they're running or whatever, like.
candidate portal, they do all that.
League of Women Voters does the content, and we just provide the technical. So
we
again,
feel
partner
that we touched on
organization. So,
building committee recognition.
All right,
As
take
well
care.
as.
Thank you again.
Thank
you.
Lucky that one doesn't have a stick.
They were in the sun, it was.
Yeah.
Needs a new mom.
What's the next thing goes, you know?
The host of the events or university.
That's what.
You're under the student art show.
Anything on the student art show?
I knew that we knew about it.
Have you had any more conversations with the school or no?
With Dr. Hornbacher, yes,
Okay.
and right now, we're kind of in a bit of purgatory because the art instructors are not on contract.
Yep.
Yep.
They don't come back until probably Monday next week.
Yeah.
Dr. Hornbacher, I'm sorry,
No, it's fine.
after he and I met, he sent an email to the administrators in all the high schools and said, hey, here's a project the city's working on. I realize your art faculty aren't in the building right now, but when they're back, if we can have this conversation, that would be great. So October might be a bit of a squeeze, trying to get it there, but the door is open to start. I don't know what kind of avenues you have to explore with any of those folks, given your connections with the school district, but maybe that's something that we consider for, I still think it's a great idea, but I don't know that October is gonna be a reality with.
No, I think,
I'll give you the impression.
So is it then going to, when they do come on contract, where the administrator's gonna reach out to our teachers and then come
I
back with the
believe that
answer?
was, yeah, I believe that was the intent. Let me see if I can find. the
We have
intent.
exact tomorrow, so I can ask our executive team.
If we push it, what would we want to push it to? November or spring?
I would do spring.
I
You
would,
always hear about spring art shows, don't you?
Yeah,
Well, and I think
that
that
gets
it
different
might,
semesters.
yeah, it just, you wanna make sure students have enough time to create something.
Okay,
Well, but
No, we can invest time getting the judges and we're gonna have judges.
Yeah.
Sassy, I just think it's too, when school starts, it's gonna be too crazy.
Yeah.
So,
And I don't know, what are they doing in the school district? COVID protocols.
Nothing.
We don't have anything, nothing right now. I mean, we have plans in case things,
crazy.
go crazy, but
the email from Dr. Hornbacher was sent to Dr. Ben Johnson, Steve Madler, who's at Century, David Wistoff, who is at
HS,
CHS, and Tom Schmidt, who's at Legacy.
Legacy.
So it went to the principals of the three public high schools, and the email was, Mr. Tomatic and I met to discuss a proposed project for the high school art students in the city of Bismarck. I know our teachers are not on staff at this point. This was July 26th that he sent this. I know our teachers are not on staff at this point, but is this something you could run by them to see if there is interest? So that, attached to that was my email to Dr. Hornbacher after this group met, talking about the who, what, where, when, and why. So they have the background information in the email from me that Dr. Hornbacher forwarded to all of them. I have not seen any other communications, but now that we're getting closer to having staff back in the building, it would be a great time for me to nudge Dr. Hornbacher to see if he heard from any of those principals.
So when are they back on contract again? When are they back?
they have a teacher work day this week. It's supposed to be on Friday, but it's flexible for them to get into their classroom anytime this week. And then next week, we're back. Starting Monday, we have our opening days.
If you think about the time of the year that this group worked with Taylor Cook for the logo, it was,
Spring.
Well, and I think this would be a good opportunity to get feedback from our teachers, because either they'll incorporate it into their class, or
Curriculum.
students will have to do it outside.
right.
Have we decided if we're gonna invite the, private schools?
I don't know that that question's been asked. I don't know why you would exclude them.
Yep.
So then we.
I was
we
just
reach
thinking
out to
the same
Shiloh and
thing.
St. Mary's then?
Okay.
If it's all right with the group, I'll wait and see what BPS says, and if
Because
they
it's gonna
think
be a
it's a
big
great
one.
idea, then we can add the two private schools to the mix. But if it's just an invite to the two private schools, you won't have nearly the volume of students to participate.
Yeah. So
I
in
suppose
my,
it'd be worth, sorry, maybe including the kids that do school from home
I
Mhm.
was gonna say
as well, the
homeschool. I don't know.
homeschoolers that could put the words together.
You
Yeah,
could look at doing South Central as well.
sure,
yes.
by all means.
But I don't know why so central, he didn't.
That's-
go, yeah,
Yeah, that would be part of
Do they
BPS.
have
so-
an art program there though?
well, I think that they have options to take.
If you wouldn't mind, Sassy, doing a little follow-up tomorrow, that would be great. But if this group wants to push that to spring of 2023, be another reason to have a program on the radio, talk about the art show. Like you said, if it's jury or something, you bring those students in and have them,
And
give them a
the
voice.
party that Jason is putting on, we can talk about all the events that we have coming up.
It is cookies and milk day.
Yep, that would be, actually, sorry, Jen, that's a great idea to talk about where have we been as an HRC and where are we going in the future? To really be able to span that and say, here's what you heard from the past. This is the group that we are going to be doing these things. Watch for us, because we're gonna light the world on fire here.
About this,
So,
about the delivery there too.
We will have you MC.
Are you free October? We'll send you an invite. You have to only bring 50 people.
okay,
And.
Of your closest friends.
yes,
No, nobody's subbing your cookie lane.
no overlap either. 50 new people, right?
50 new people.
Okay, are we thinking February, March then? Because don't we have people coming in elections in January for this board? When do we
Are any
bring
of us
new
up?
people on?
Yeah, there's usually a rotation every year. There's at least one or two. So we can check on that and see who's up and what that looks like.
Oh.
I think they're
3.
3-year appointments and you can have up to 2
Okay.
full terms. So you could be a member for 6 years.
Jason and I are 1 month apart.
Are we?
So, and we reset everybody, so your terms expire in December, so that they're good for the whole year. We had so many different groups where
That's right.
some were in April, some were in June, some were in December, so we consolidated as many as we could. We have 2 times of the year. We have June, which corresponds with elected officials and they're switching. And then we have the end of the year, which is volunteer people like all of you. So you're right. In December, there will be 2 of you likely 2 of you whose terms expire, and then you would need to reapply
I'm
if you want
assuming
to
if
re-up.
if it's those 2.
I'm not sure. You could be, well, I think all of you most of you picked up unexpired terms. Whitney's
Yes.
texting me. She's probably got it. So Whitney says Jason, Tia, and Trevor. And I'm guessing all of you have unexpired terms because you picked up the balance of someone that left early.
So then we still have 2 full terms.
I believe so.
Oh, yeah.
So what is expected of us? We have to
We would
reapply.
reapply. It's open to anyone, and then you would reapply, and then ultimately it comes down to a recommendation from the mayor to the city commission. So,
Just jump into it.
Yeah.
So do we have,
I just said yes, but
I'll hold it, let's move on.
yeah,
This is what- I'll write it down, so I don't forget.
okay.
So we're pushing it to, did we decide when, or do we need to decide when?
I'd say you let the faculty at
Oh,
high schools help guide that conversation.
Or
And
what
it's
would work best for them?
what would work best. If in spring semester, what would be the best opportunity to coordinate on an art project together?
Sassy, when does spring semester start? Middle of January?
It's usually that 3rd Monday, right around my.
Okay.
What a
Yeah,
great. way
because
to
we come
pop
back
up.
and then we have a, break.
Yep, and then of course, February, you've got Black History Month and a lot of other things that would go right along with what you're doing. You got NLK Junior in January, you've got Black History Month in February.
And then what's President's Day, I believe.
That's February.
So, okay,
March.
I will contact Dr. Hornbacher tomorrow and let him know that this group would like to pause and see if we can work towards a spring art show. And then trust that you can carry some of that conversation in-house as well and do what
Absolutely.
you can. Okay. Well, I think that's an achievable goal. You guys are gonna be busy coming up with content for your podcasts and cookie shows.
Yeah. That'd be a good podcast.
They don't have a baking program on
No.
VMA,
Oh,
you can do
geez,
that.
gonna bake cookies.
I guarantee you, me trying to bake would get a lot
Oh,
of
me too.
views. It
I
would
mean,
be like that
America's
big
Worst Chef.
fail show.
America's Worst Chef.
Yes, America's Worst. Okay,
Oh, the master chef, you mean?
no,
Yeah, any other business?
I have other business.
All the municipal equality
Yeah.
index ratings on there.
I have nothing with MEI yet. Have you heard anything back? Okay,
Not a word.
I'm just pulling it up again and I'll send it out. It's just odd that we're hearing nothing back. Nothing.
Did we reach out to them? Yeah,
Okay, any other business?
that's weird.
Yes,
I think Tia has business.
I do. So there is no, is there or is there not an attendance policy for this board?
There is,
There is, however, we have been deliberately gentle with that policy, because if that were the case, we have a really hard time keeping a full roster. And it's hard to tell somebody you're fired from a volunteer position.
Okay, I'll bring up my concern. I've brought it up before. So we have members that do almost every event. And then ones that don't do an event and don't show up to meetings.
So this is the 20-year history of the HRC. This is not a new problem. This has been the legacy, where you've got some that do all the work and all the lifting, and you've got others that are just here for grins. If you'd like us to enforce that policy, we have it.
I'm just concerned of newer members coming on and then, if I was a new member to something, I'd be all gung ho, that's how I am. And showing up, I'm like, they elected me. There are other people they could have elected, even though it's a volunteer position, or people that we turned down.
Yep, there are.
Do you know the attendance policy off the top of your head?
I think it's,
Two missed.
is it only two?
it's only two.
I thought it was 4.
He's looking, I think,
8 out of the
When I looked, it was two,
Two seems a little harsh.
because I was like, dang, because
I think it's harsh, but
Two is harsh,
I
but
think
5 of your 7 beating or missing 6 of 7.
Well, and I,
but it's
I thought it was 4.
just
yeah, well, but
meeting.
my comment to all that is, I agree with her, yeah, in a way. It's, you know, I get it. A lot of the same people are doing the same event. I try to help when I can. Because, you know, it's hard for me to get around, even though the parade was difficult. But I understand people need to be here so we can conduct business.
Yeah, I think the expectation is for them to be in the meetings, not the additional
My-
events.
question is, are the people that are not showing up to meetings letting Whitney know that they will not be here?
for the most part, yeah. So it's 8 out of 12 meetings in a year, so you can miss 4. And it's a policy that was agreed upon by a previous committee. It is not something in ordinance. So policies can be modified, they can be expunged, they can be tightened. It's up to this group, but I would caution you to make that decision when you've got a full committee,
Yeah.
which has never happened
Okay, I have
with the
another
current
question.
position.
Can the president or president and, or what do we call him?
Chairperson,
Chairperson, and
vice chair.
chairperson,
Yeah.
have a conversation
Absolutely.
with the concerned people.
Yep.
In regards to attendance.
That's very appropriate. In fact, that happens at the city commission level as well.
Because I think there's probably 2 people that need to have a conversation with.
Okay,
And I kind of know the 2 people, and you know, and one of them is Global Neighbors. And one of them is Carl Young. I know he's getting along with him, and he's got health issues.
One thing to consider, this group has historically met at 5:15 on the 3rd Monday of every month. If that isn't convenient for all 9 of you, that date can be changed. There's nothing that says it has to be tonight at this time.
That's the reason I signed up. That's the only day of the week. we can do
If
it.
it's convenient for 6 out of, and
Right.
7.
And when we all signed up, it was like, here's the date you have to meet.
I think maybe a conversation needs to be had. It's like, yeah, if Trevor and Jason want to have those conversations.
Trevor, are you comfortable having those conversations as the chair?
Who are the two
You
people?
already know, you said
Carl and
Julie.
Julie. Here's the situation with Carl. I know his situation.
I do too.
Ready, he has health concerns, a rare condition that he can't make it. Another thing, he's got his son in the criminal justice system, so I think he'll stay, but I haven't had a conversation with him. I can't get a hold of him right now. I've tried. Another, Julie, I'm not sure with her what the issue is there. I don't know Julie that well. I don't.
Can I just say, even us having a conversation of, we fully appreciate having you on this committee, but if it's a commitment that maybe is too much, at this time, maybe stepping back until you're able to commit more in the future.
That's what I was gonna say, like, we all know
Right.
they've happened.
Right, we have no issue with that, and we appreciate everybody who's on this committee, and we all have life problems. I've had to step off committees before and come back. But being able to have a fully functioning committee for the city is what we're hoping for.
Especially if we want to make progress with things like hate crime ordinance. I mean, we really need full.
And
And I will tell you that my problem right now is the transportation problem.
Right.
yeah. And the thing about it, I can tell you too. Do we know, Jason, has Carl reached out to you in the city admin?
No, not personally.
Okay.
I will say this, and I can probably speak for Whitney too, that we've seen committee member fatigue where 2 or 3 people do all the work and then they get tired of it and they just move on because they're not getting the support from the rest of the group. So it is real, and I don't want to see anybody fail. If you guys have a lot of momentum, you've got a lot of enthusiasm, but you need some wins as well. And you need some consistency, and I think this is the most synergy I've seen at the table from this group. But if you don't start getting buy-in from everybody, the 3 or 4 of you that are doing it are gonna say, the hell with this, I'm gonna do something else.
I
Well-
think just even like, with his instance, even if that conversation is like, if now is not the time to be on the committee, but you still want to support us, we will keep you up to date on all of our events. You will
And if you
like
come to the events,
volunteer,
you're
volunteer, still assist us in a volunteer.
So how many, can I ask this, Jason? How many committee meetings has both of these?
I don't have the numbers.
March.
That's something I've missed too.
What's the deal?
So Lily's only gone to one since March,
Yep, and then I think Carl's only been at 1 or 2 then.
2.
I think 2.
Yep, so yeah, March, April, May, June, July, we're in August, and so Julie's been at 1. And
Carl's been at 2.
I don't know, Jason, do we wanna enforce the policy? or-
I don't believe in enforcing the policy, but at least having an open conversation in my mind. I think it's time to say, hey, you are at that threshold, but we're not here to punish anybody. That's not what this committee is about, or expel anybody from the board. We just like to, since it's at that point where you've missed 4 or more meetings now, we just wanna see, are you wanting, do you have availability to be on the committee? Or maybe is it an option that you might wanna consider stepping back in a polite, honest way? I mean, we're not here to shame anybody or punish anybody. That's not what this.
Well,
committee is
but we
about.
need a full functioning committee too.
Right. And that if you decide to step back, we are always open to reconsidering applications at future times, Because that's not a problem at all. We chose, everybody on this committee was chosen because we thought they could bring amazing things to this committee.
The
and to
diversity
city.
of the committee for
Yeah.
different reasons.
Yeah, so,
If you're not here, you can't share your talent.
yeah,
My other question is, I know there was a question about Teams, but like, I know we're not using that, but say I was out of town, but I made the time on a meeting, is calling in still an option?
I would say so. It's here. I just think everybody functions better face to face. You miss half of what's being said when you're on a virtual platform. I guess me personally, I'm so tired of looking at Teams meetings that I look for human contact.
Get so much more done
yeah.
on your face.
But I'm just thinking if someone is stuck at home or if someone, at least there is that option.
I was able to call in, you know, and it
But then you
wasn't the
can reach
best,
out and
but
say,
That's, yeah. So okay, so we can end or the other business, but conversation that we had.
so who's talking to them?
I don't know Julie, but I know Carl.
But you said he's not answering your phone calls.
Yeah, that's,
Mike's a hard one to get a hold of.
Do you want to, Trevor, or do you want Jason G to?
um. He's
I
a
think
real,
you know Carl pretty well, so I think that may put Trevor uncomfortable.
Usually, because like
I would do that.
I wouldn't want to have a conversation with Julie. So I think maybe it would be more comfortable for Jason to have.
I can have it with him. But I could do that with Julie too, I just need her phone number.
Okay.
You take one, I take one.
Okay. Sounds
When
good.
it goes, you take Carl though,
Okay,
I have his number.
We have it too.
yep, I'll just ask for the,
And it does say, if I recall, it does say on the application that there is an attendance policy. You are expected to participate.
It does.
I think the concern is just missing the first 4 or 5 of their term, you know.
And we have, I don't know that we have any applications in the hopper right now, but there was a period of time where we had 3 or 4 people that just randomly submitted an application and we had to turn them away
Is it
because
Geraldine?
Gerald, I know multiple people that would have to Joel, there's multiple people.
And, you know, I'm glad you brought it up too, because without them, we can't do our work. Cause if you're not here, then we're short on corn.
Lots of good conversations, especially about Jason's party.
Specifically, it's good.
So what if they do not want to be a part of the committee, then what do we?
then they just simply provide a resignation letter via email or traditional letter, and then we would go to if we don't have any applications available, then we would just simply announce that we have an unexpired term and we're accepting applications and you welcome somebody new.
Can I get a motion for adjournment?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor, say aye.
I,
So expect an email with the times for the
You want me to